Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Omar Khalid. But today is the 22nd of May 2025. These are the stories that we will be deciphering during the course of the show. We'll begin with of course, what happened, the dastardly incident that happened yesterday, in which the children of belonging to Khuzdar were the victims of a barbaric incident by the Indian proxies, and of course we saw as a result of that 6 children embraced shahadat, so did other adults as well. We'll be highlighting different aspects around this, and we'll also be talking about the 270th Corps Commanders Conference that was chaired by Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir, Chief of the Army Staff, and what were the important decisions or topics that were discussed during this whole important meeting, because a lot has been happening since then. We'll be highlighting different parameters of that in our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Middle East the crisis. We haven't touched upon that since the Pakistan-India conflict began, but we would like to highlight what is happening on day 593, when the casualties keep on increasing and the situation is still dire as far as the humanitarian angle to the people in Gaza is concerned. This is going to be our second story. Let's begin with our first, and that concerns what happened in Khuzdar, but also the Corps Commanders Conference. We'd rather like to begin, in fact, with the 270th Corps Commanders Conference that was chaired by Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir, Chief of the Army Staff, and what ensued. We have been joined to talk in this very segment by Brigadier Masud Ahmed Khan Sahab. He's a defense analyst. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us. How does the strategic recognition of Field Marshal Asim Munir and the success of Operation Bunyan Marsoos reflect Pakistan's military preparedness and regional deterrence posture in the face of Indian aggression?
This Corps Commander Conference was important from the point of view. This was held after the conclusion of that Marke Haq and then the
Bunyan
Marsoos. And this was basically to acknowledge the contribution made of all the formation, those who were actively involved in this conflict, and to acknowledge at the same time the Field Marshal also acknowledged the contribution made by the nation as well as by the youth while in dealing with the information strategy, and that was also important. And then he also shown his resolve that whatever has happened in Khuzdar, the perpetrators, abettors and facilitators, certainly they will be hunted down and they will be brought to justice. And then they also discussed the situation along LOC, working boundary and international border, and then their desire to have a peaceful solution of Jammu and Kashmir issue. And they asked the international community to look into this important issue of Jammu and Kashmir, which is basically the core issue for the peace and stability in South Asia. So that was the basic things that was discussed during that Corps Commanders Conference.
All right, we'll return after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and we're discussing what happened in Khuzdar and of course the Corps Commanders Conference. We did discuss a little bit on the Corps Commanders Conference, and we continue to discuss what is happening as far as the whole Indian machination is concerned. And Brigadier Masud Ahmed Khan continues to join us in the studios. Brigadier Sahab, with clear evidence that is pointing towards foreign-backed terrorism and the targeting of an army public school bus, should Pakistan now officially declare India's proxies as international terrorist organizations and seek global sanctions on Indian state agencies that are funding such attacks?
This is a very important question. They have already been, the BLA has already been declared a terrorist organization in 2007 by United States, United Kingdom, European Union, as well as China. Now it is the Pakistan has to tell the world that India is behind this terrorist activities across Pakistan, mainly when we talk of Balochistan. As now we call them the Fitna Hind, they are operating, the proxies, the bras which they are operating, and certainly, and they have long history of, India have long history of having links with this bras, the Fitna Hind. if we recall in 1950s, India started having a friendship treaty. After having a friendship treaties, and then they started penetrating inside Afghanistan. Since then, they established relations with the Afghan successive governments. In 1968, it was RA which was established, and then after onwards, RA and then Khat at that time, RA then with NDS. And now there are reports of they are having some understanding between RA and GDI, General Director of Intelligence. So RA was basically during the time of Ashraf Ghani and Karzai, they were controlling Afghanistan. They have presence in all the 34 provinces of Afghanistan. So therefore, there were 66 camps to train beside Fitna ul Kharij, this Fitna ul Hind, the BLA, BLF, BRA, BRG, Lashkar-e-Balochistan, etc. And besides having 21 camps inside Rajasthan. So let's not forget the Charles Hagel, the Secretary of Defense under Obama's administration. He said in his record that India is using Afghanistan as a second front against Pakistan, and said they are financing terrorism and terrorist activities across Pakistan. That was one thing. It was Kulbhushan, which was in Balochistan when he was caught, and he narrated the entire story, how they were planning and he was there to execute. And subsequently, those who have joined the mainstream, like Guzar Imam Shambe or Safraz Bangalze and others, they narrated their links with the RA, their visits to India. So India is 100% involved. So we have already deposited 5 dossiers of Indian terrorism in Pakistan, mainly in Balochistan. So first was in 2009, when then Prime Minister Gilani at Sharm el Sheikh, he handed over a dossier to Manmohan Singh. So that was the first, and last was in 2020. In one of the dossiers, we mentioned the names of 4 individuals, Indians. They are involved in terrorist activities in Pakistan by name, and for violating 1268 Charter of United Nations. And one person was Angura Apaji, and he was the basically handler or the mastermind or the controller. He was sitting at Jalalabad while APS Peshawar was under attack. So he was in communication with the terrorists. So link that attack in 2014 and not attack in Khuzdar. So they have a history where they go for soft targets to create an impact, that is to make international news and at the same time to create panic, chaos and confusion, and also ensuring that no investors comes and invest in Balochistan, and is simultaneously attacking Chinese interests. So we have established, we have sufficient evidence available with us, and more recently the DGISPR, one of his press briefing, he did talk of a recent link which was discovered between Major Sandeep of Indian Army having a link with Abdul Majid of Pakistani, and he was also directing at that time Major Saab,
with audio conversations that reveal how he was being trained.
And he was telling him, directing him to go to public places to have impact of that IED blast. So that is the approach of the Indians. That's why we have no doubt, and we have sufficient evidence. Jafar Express is the one of the prime examples, because again the attackers, they were in communication with the people sitting in Nimros in Afghanistan, and also they were communicating across to India. So, and the Indian media, they were getting the footages. So from where they were getting these live footages? Because they were having Thuraya sets, so they were communicating. So we don't have any doubt of Indian involvement in terrorism inside Balochistan, and now they are openly using, after their humiliation and a comprehensive defeat as a result of Operation Bunyan al Marsus.
Brigadier Saab, now that an FIR under anti-terror and murder charges has been registered in Pakistan, should Pakistan not take this case to the International Court of
Yeah.
Justice to also expose India's direct role in orchestrating heinous crimes, especially that target innocent school-going children through its terror networks in Balochistan.
Again, very important. According to the Geneva Conventions, all the treaties which has been signed even after the trial of Nuremberg, it was decided if you target civilians, even prisoners of war, that is a act of, that act will be taken as an act crime, as a crime, and those whosoever will be involved will be tried by the war crimes in any international court. So, we have seen the BLA, mainly the Majid Brigade, they are involved in killing mainly the civilians, the children and women. So, Pakistan has a strong case to go to International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court, because they explain that if your country is occupied by a foreign force, you can resist. So, we have a case in case that is Afghanistan that was occupied by foreign forces. Here in Balochistan, there is no foreign forces. There are a couple of hundred terrorists basically on behest of India, they are doing some these terrorist activities. So, Pakistan has the right, can go to International Court of Criminal Court, and they can ask the Indians, those involved, and to be tried by the International Criminal Court for war crimes and killing the innocent civilians. So, that is a real fact, and this is a law, and we can have a strong position as far as this violation is concerned.
But Gare Sahab, not only the strong voices are coming from Pakistan, the FIR is lodged, but also important Sikh leaders are also highlighting this and openly pointing their fingers at Narendra Modi. Gurpratwant Singh Pannu's outright condemnation of India's state-sponsored terrorism in Balochistan, doesn't it expose Narendra Modi's real face between in front of the world, especially when it comes from a prominent Sikh leader? Do you feel there will be any reaction whatsoever, and if not, what should Pakistan do?
Let's see that we cannot ignore the statement initially made by the Prime Minister Modi in 2016 while during the Republic Day probably. He said the people from Balochistan, they have thanked me, I have voiced for their human rights and so and so. And subsequently it was Ajit Doval in 2014, he said we know how to handle the situation in Balochistan, we are having close links with the terrorist organization, and he's on record. And similarly, this so-called Major, he said he has the links and numbers of the terror outfits organization, even Sardars of Balochistan. So, we have sufficient evidence of Indian involvement. The state terrorism, we call it the state-sponsored terrorism. They are using terrorism as a foreign policy tool, and we have seen their transnational repression, as you were highlighting, and they were naming the Pannu. A plot was filed against when they were planning to assassinate him. So, the case is, there is a hearing going on where there is some Gupta.
Yes.
Gupta, Gupta is under trial for that assassination plot. So, they have asked for a Vikas Yadav, the raw operator, to be handed over to US Justice Department for his involvement in the assassination plot of Pannu. So, India has been exposed not only for terrorism inside Pakistan, also transnational repression. When we talk of Canada, United States, United Kingdom, let's not forget the story which was carried by the Guardian of the assassination of 22 Kashmiris inside Pakistan. Again, the story was also carried by the Washington Post. The Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said, yes, ghus ke mara hai. So, these are the evidences, these are the things available which we can take them to the international court, and subsequently the delegation which is now living abroad under the leadership of
two delegations in fact are going to one to Europe and the other to the US.
They must be having all the details and briefings, and they can present these Indian terrorism and these evidences to international community how they are doing it.
Why is India repeatedly targeting soft targets like children? Also, what does this reveal about its moral and diplomatic bankruptcy amongst so many other things? Is it also a reaction to their open failure in Operation Bunyan al-Marsus?
This is basically vendetta because of the, as I said, the comprehensive, the way they have been humiliated in all domain of warfare. They look at the Air Force, they look at their ground forces along LOC and the way we responded, and so they have been humiliated, and Pakistan has emerged an important country. Pakistan has established its relevance in the international community.
True.
Though the international community, they equate Pakistan with India. Previously, there was a lower grade. Pakistan was treated a lower grade than the Indians. No, President Trump has mentioned Pakistan, probably it was 7th or 8th time. And even today, while meeting with the South African president, he said the Pakistani leadership is great, the people are very genius, we want to do trade with the Pakistanis, and we averted a war. So again, he said it was United States basically which facilitated and mediated between Pakistan and India. So that is how things are developed. The importance of Pakistan that has been increased, and internationally and everything. I am listening, and as far as the international media is concerned, whether it is electronic or print media, they are writing articles, and I am sure you will see there will be war games, there will be studies, there will be research papers. How a country 11 times smaller than to India emerged victorious in those 5 hours war which was fought with the Indians.
Now that it is established that India is no longer a hostile neighbor, but it is a full-blown terrorist state, how can Pakistan diplomatically highlight this in these two important missions that are about to leave for the European Union and the US and allied states? And secondly, what about the International Criminal Court? What about the International Court of Justice? What about the United Nations? Could Pakistan also contact them or the UNSC with all the proofs that it has?
Certainly, though, as I said, we have already deposited 5 dossiers, but I think United States can play a very important and critical role. And as they said, as President Trump tweeted, and followed by the Marco Rubio, when he said that the two countries can sit and they will discuss the broad set of issues at a neutral venue, and Pakistan has also already suggested UAE and Saudi Arabia. So the Pakistan has a
Okay, we have to go to a short break. Brigadier Sahib will be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The situation as far as Gaza, Palestine is concerned continues to deteriorate with every passing day. On day 593, the total people who have been mercilessly killed has exceeded 53,600, and the number of those injured 121,001. These are just the figures that are official. The unofficial figures are much more than that. Dr. Farah Naz, international affairs expert, joins us online. Dr. Farah, thank you very much to have joined us. 51 people have been killed in Israeli attacks since dawn today. And I did tell about the figures of 53,655 who have officially been mercilessly killed by the Israelis, and 16,500 children killed since October 2023. The Israeli military says it is going to expand its military activity in the different areas of northern Gaza. Is there any end in sight?
Because that's not the plan, to put an end to the war. The plan is that clean Gaza from the local people. This is what it's like, ethnic cleansing. Probably this conflict is going to redefine the concept of even genocide. Whatever we have seen during the world wars is going to be rewritten in the history books after this war. Because the way Netanyahu is ethnically cleansing, this territory for his own political goals and objectives, everything is written on the walls now. But I would say is now the involvement of all these Western countries like United States, UK, Australia, they are demanding now Israel and Netanyahu in particular to stop the war. At least let the humanitarian assistance reach out to the people who really need this food. The numbers that you were providing who has been killed in this war, brutally killed in this war, it's not going to stop. It's going to grow more, not only due to the bullets and the bombs that Israel is throwing on them, but through the hunger and the thirst that they all are going through. And it's not only, adults, it's the children as well. So those who are targeting children, what you can expect from such kind of, brutal person, that he will put an end to the war. I don't see the war is going to come to an end any soon.
All right, Dr. Farah, Israeli forces fire warning shots toward foreign diplomats of all people who were visiting the Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. Many countries, France, Spain, Canada, UK, have summoned their Israeli ambassadors after their representatives were fired upon in Jenin. When you look at this context and you see that now the Israeli forces are going above and beyond and even targeting other even their friendly countries in such a blatant exercise of violence, what do you feel Israel is standing more and more exposed, and if so, do you feel there's going to be more resistance from these countries who are now being targeted?
I think, like as I said, if somebody is killing children, they have no fear, they have no shame. And the madness of Netanyahu, like by, targeting these foreign diplomats, um, we completely condemn it. It should never have happened ever. But if it has happened, probably it may bring some good things for the people in Gaza as well. Because all those countries, they're going to stand by their people. And standing for their people means somewhat support for the people in Gaza whose lives have been terribly affected. With a slight, like, in Australia, an Australian government has always been the strongest ally of Israel. But recently, when the United States, like, tried to tell Israel that, yeah, we're not really happy with what you're doing there. Now, all these countries, the strongest ally like the UK and Australia, they're also gaining some confidence and openly talking about and telling Israel that it needs to behave and Netanyahu needs to control like whatever madness he's up to. Probably with these kind of statements, now I can see in the Western world, people have been become more vocal, more open, and the dialogue, the discussion, it has reached to our normal radio programs, TV programs, which was not the case in the past. Yes, of course, they were passing remarks given by like people who were talking about to support Israel, to support Palestine and the lives who were threatened over there. But they were still afraid and reluctant because if the government is not by your side, you're always at the target list, and you never want to be called anti-Semitic. So all these things, like with these recent developments, whatever has happened, I would say I can see in the hindsight is going to bring lots of good things for the people in Gaza because they now the world seems to be on one side, where Netanyahu seems to be his madness is seems to be on the other side. And now everyone is realizing that he is literally killing these people. Now the discussion is also opening up about that what should we do in this scenario where Netanyahu's madness is not coming to an end, and like the people in Gaza, their life is badly affected. They do not have medicine. Like we can't say that enough supplies. It's not about supplies anymore. They don't have anything, so they don't have the medical stuff. They don't have the food. They don't have water. They don't have the basic needs of their life. So they are dying one way or the other. Now the discussion in the Western world is that the neighboring countries should open the border. So this is really huge. Why are you pushing them to such an extent that you want them to leave their country? The place that they have killed, their families for. It's not like one person or two people. They kill their entire families. The entire generations have been destroyed in this war. And now you are proposing to them that they should be sent to Libya or the Egypt should open the border on them. Why don't you let them live in peace? Why don't you let them live in Gaza? That's the area where they belongs to. So these are some kind of difficult concepts that have started emerging on the media here in the Western world, which is like a good development. I can see a positivity in that. But will it bring food to the mouths of all those who are suffering, to those children who are dying because of the famine that is happening there? Probably even it has never happened during the other two wars, the World War One or two, whatever is happening now in Gaza. So it's the worst form of the madness of Netanyahu that he is presenting and rewriting history of genocide. That whatever happened back in time during that genocide, I can do much worse genocide to the people, like particularly the Muslims.
And
So
he's
there's
proving
like
that,
it's a
Dr.
tit
Farah,
for
now,
tat.
and he's proving
Of
that.
course,
Uh,
his actions are loudly speaking about his madness. It's not the entire Jewish community. It's just Netanyahu and his madness. And this madness needs to come to an end. Many people are now talking about the where are the Muslim communities, where are the Muslim Ummah and the all Muslim countries, why they're not coming to the front. And I'm always like, it's not the Muslim countries who can do, yes, we will always support them, we will always stand by them, we will always be at their back. But the countries who can bring some change in Netanyahu's madness, they are the Western countries, the strongest ally of Israel, who are supporting them diplomatically, who are supporting them through military means, to defense means as well. Like I was really happy, to hear the statement coming out from UK that we will not go further with any defense ties with you, with Israel in particular,
And also
unless
trade,
you
they
you
have suspended
exactly.
these free trade negotiations, and so has the EU. They are going to also renegotiate their trade deals
Yeah.
with Israel as well. But looking at the violations of international law and human rights that you are alluding to, do you feel we are seeing a pivotal shift in Western policies that could finally lead to Israel being held accountable?
Well, I think now all these countries that we are speaking about, they are a bit worried about, how if somebody say that I'm like my madness is that I want to kill or to make this territory empty from this particular group of people. So it's like violation of the sovereignty. So how can they call themselves democracy? And they are the proponents and the promoters of democratic norms, culture, and tradition. So they're a bit worried. When it comes to the United Nations, the integrity of the United Nations is at stake because they are standing outside at the borders with the humanitarian assistance, which the United Nations says openly that the number of trucks that are available there can supply 1 month food to all those people and the basic medicine which are required by these people. But Netanyahu is not letting them enter. This is an eye opener for the world. Now the world is a bit afraid that if any leader become this mad, what can happen? So we need to control it somehow, and it's only these countries who can try to control the madness of Netanyahu. But to what extent? Maybe they are also scared of internal problems within their own countries as well, because people have become more and more vocal about the life in Gaza, and they are not asking about that. Give this and that to the people of Gaza, or let them flew, or let them go here and there. No, they say let them live in Gaza. So this is a very bold statement coming from all the public, the citizens of all these westernized countries who are saying, don't push them here and there. They are not animals. They are not something that you can just throw them away from their own houses. You have destroyed everything. You have destroyed their houses, their businesses, their entire cities. So let them at least live in that whatever is left for them. So I think these are positive things. Hats off to the people in Gaza who are still like strongly, firmly standing and supporting their own community, whatever is left with them. I think it's a huge pain, and this pain nobody can take it away. Even for us, for me to write and to discuss it, I get very emotional about it because I've never seen such human atrocity of this level and caliber, because this is too much. In proper war, I can understand, but this is it's really a war? No, it's a genocide. It's a ethnic cleansing.
I agree with you on that. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says Israel is going to retain control of Gaza when its quote unquote assault ends. He also says he will consider a temporary halt to its bombardment of the territory to allow for the release of the remaining Israeli captives. Now, considering this assertion by the Israeli Prime Minister that he wants to gain control over Gaza post the offensive, do you feel this aligns with the international calls for a two-state solution? And what implications could this have, this statement, this assertion have as far as the future of Palestinian self-determination is concerned?
Well, I think this statement coming from Netanyahu, it's the aftermath of what President Trump has asked Netanyahu in some, not in open kind of words, but the statements that President Trump has provided, that whatever is he's aware of what is happening in Palestine and something like that, like giving a cold shoulder, visiting, the Middle East and not visiting Israel. This is unprecedented because Tel Aviv is something that they will always and always go, and they are very close buddies, they are very close allies and friends and supporters. But the message, the signal was that you need to behave because they need to answer back to their own citizens. It's not about in love and in respect for the people in Gaza. They don't care at all. but it's all about their own prestige and their own position in their own countries. So probably through that, the signal was very strong that America is not happy with what is happening because it is leading to internal turmoil within America as well, and within all other Western world as well. So Netanyahu said that, okay, I will get hold of this place and then we will move some people from here to Libya. And, like there are some hidden kind of statements coming in that Egypt needs to open the borders, other people go there. And some kind of arrangement they're putting in place. But is it all about that America, through American support, they're going to recognize only the West Bank as a Palestinian territory? That is not acceptable. Where those sacrifices will go, where all those deaths that Netanyahu and the killings that Netanyahu has committed in Gaza, who is going to make him accountable for all those people, those lives? He has killed a generation. He is such a butcher that he's targeting innocent children. So, what can you expect from this man? But who is going to make him accountable? Are we going to have an international court for him where he's going to be trialed on? Because this is not, a local kind of law that he has violated. He has violated international law. He has violated all those customs traditions of international law, which were always there to speak about sovereignty, to speak about, if you are interfering into the human rights situation, what will be happen? I think in this conflict, Netanyahu has violated each and everything, irrespective of whatever you name it. So he has just, put everything in the bin, and he is all after ethnically cleansing Gaza and getting hold of the territory, rebuilding it up to his expectations, and just starting his business as usual. So yeah, this is really really a dangerous turn in the international relations in terms of this war, in terms of international organizations and its prestige as well, and the United States and President Trump as the head of the United States as well. So the responsibility on President Trump is quite huge at this point in time.
All right, Dr. Farah, also I'd like to understand international condemnation is mounting over Israel's actions in Gaza and the West Bank. Many people are, calling what Netanyahu is doing as war crimes. Do you feel that there are legal avenues that still exist? You did allude a little bit towards that earlier in our conversation. Do you feel that the global community is going to pursue or support such initiatives when and if they happen?
They can, like, if when Netanyahu targeted the diplomatic community in those territories, right? So probably that will be, a starting point where all those people, they definitely belong to some sovereign independent states. So they're going to ask Israel, what are you doing to our people? You don't have any right to violate, to all those diplomatic norms that we have established for the entire world. So there could be a possibility that yes, through those countries whose people have been injured or affected through all those strikes that Netanyahu has committed on the diplomatic front. But which institution are we talking about? United Nations, which itself is struggling with, how to bring justice to the people in Gaza. International Court, which is probably, unable under which clause we need to make Netanyahu accountable for his actions. Because as I said earlier, there is no precedent of such kind of, atrocities in the history of the world, wars that we have seen. Whatever has happened during World War One or two, there were reasons involved in it. In this war, we can't see any reason. There's only one objective, straightaway goal, like ethnically clean this territory. But how are we going to contest it? Who is going to contest it? It's only possible if all these countries, the powerful countries, the Western countries, if they unite against Israel and put a pressure on Netanyahu, you need to behave yourself. You need to put your madness in order, and you need to not make the life of all those Jews who are living across the world a hell for them. Because we have seen whatever happened in Washington, that was a clear sign that people are over with it. People are done with it. So he is not only risking.
Hmm. That is so true, and I mean, there's so much of risk involved, global risk and regional risk as well. But the fact remains that for the moment we are not seeing any reaction coming from the the countries that matter as far as implicating Netanyahu and his government in we have been talking about as genocide, as war crimes. Thank you very much, Dr. Farah, to have joined us and to have given us your eminent point of view on this whatever genocide, whatever war crimes, barbarities going on in Palestine. We've now been joined by Farhan Bukhari Sahab. He's a senior analyst. Thank you very much, Bukhari Sahab, to have joined us. Bukhari Sahab, two things have happened in the US, which is, I mean, it's different, so I just wanted to highlight it, and then we'll go to the what has been also happening in Palestine. A suspect has been arrested in the deadly shooting of 2 Israeli embassy staffers, and that is a 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez. He is not a Muslim. He is one who was wanting to, highlight the Palestinian cause one way or the other. My first question is, do you feel Tel Aviv could exploit this strategy to deflect growing global condemnation over its actions in Gaza and the West Bank? We have seen so many reactions that have suddenly emanated after the killing of these two, when on the other hand we have around 53,000 who have been killed and more than 120,000 who have been injured so far in Palestine.
I think there's going to be a limit to how far Israel can use this particular incident to its advantage. On the contrary, I would say that there are going to be voices which would say, which would come out and argue enough is enough. We've had too much bloodshed already. Let's not complicate an already complex situation. Let's not complicate it further by provoking people to indulge in such reactions on US mainland. This is a further addition to the kind of reaction that we've seen building up over the past 2 years. Also, I'd say that this particular incident doesn't really reflect kind of a reaction from the Palestinians themselves, because they are being thousands
butchered
of miles
every
away,
single day
butchered.
in the hundreds.
This is more a reflection on what's going on in the United States. University campuses are divided, up in arms.
Former Columbia students have burned their degrees down, and they are protesting despite the fact that there is a huge clampdown on the student, and so many students have been evicted as a result of that.
Not only that, but some well-respected academics have withdrawn from well-respected university campuses in the US and are now heading overseas. We've seen reports of some relocating to Canada. In a very strange kind of way, this, going back to history books, it reminds us of the kind of polarization that came about in the US during the Vietnam War.
Farhan Bukhari Sahab, thank you very much to have joined us. That brings us to the end of today's show. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow. Allah Hafiz.